Hey folks, I am Tyler Pyburn of the Pulse Network of thepulsenetwork.com, here with a conversation about the great content shift. And when we're talking about the great content shift, you have to talk about the content life cycle and how it's really been changed and how it's evolved really. We're talking with David Tuhy, the General Manager of Intel Storage Group. David, let's talk a little bit about that content life cycle. How was the shifting, the industry's shifting expectations really redefined the content life cycle up to this point?
Let's take a look at Hollywood, for example, and movie making. The content life cycle is, got several phases. I mean, the creation of the movie itself is all done digitally. They use digital cameras, more and more 3D cameras, and then they deliver all of that data, that raw data, that tens of hours to 20s and 30s, hundreds of hours of footage into basically a supercomputer. So just the creation is a fascinating workload, and we are constantly trying to invent at Intel new technologies in our Xeon processors that can not only compute that but also store it and deliver it in flight cost effectively. And it's really about parallelism, right? But then you want to deliver the movie, so you can stream or you can download it, right? Well, then, okay, how do you keep that data hot, right? Because it turns out when new releases are coming out, there's quite a lot of plays. And it goes down dramatically over a period of weeks. And we see it at movie theaters. It's also true for home movies. So these movie rendering and delivery companies online, they'll cache it. They'll keep it in all sorts of servers, basically around the country and around the world, in very high performance storage nodes. Often using SSDs, solid state drives, because they're so much quicker to push that data out for the peak workloads, right? Well, then, you know what? It's not as well watched. It's not as often watched, and so they'll start archiving it. They'll start pushing it to lower cost, slower, longer latency infrastructure to preserve it. But they don't ever want to get rid of it, right?
And they want that delivered in at an intense rate. I mean, I think that's the biggest point that you're touching upon right there is that delivery. They want that right then and there.
Yeah, because the value of a story when a big event happens, and like a tragedy, unfortunately, right? The value of having a 30-minute movie on the history of so and so, is if you can have it that afternoon versus have it 2 days later, it's logarithmically more important. And so there's a significant amount of technology coming into the storage industry, which is where that data sits, to make it federated, which means you can securely transmit it between different sites, but only to the person that has the proper authorization. The concept of old data is sort of going away. That's because they want to data mine. They want to go back and look at their sales out from 4 years ago in different geographies and try to understand what's changed and what sales programs worked or something, or what marketing campaigns had the most effect. And so there's no such thing as old data anymore. It's just data you haven't mined yet.
And it's one of those things that we're seeing now, that it's no longer just the media company that's doing a lot of the storage. It's, like you said, going across the board in many different industries. He is David Tuhy of Intel Storage Group. I am Tyler Pyburn of the Pulse Network. I want to thank you folks at home for tuning in to another great conversation leading up to the 2012 NAB show.